when it comes to a person is saying, I'm fully aware of who I am, but I don't know how to be that person when I'm around other people. How do you do that?
That's a great question. I think that's one of the beautiful things in life is being able to discover who you are by yourself and then be able to bring that into the presence of others. It's a challenge. It absolutely is a challenge because how many of us experience self-doubt? How many of us question ourselves in the presence of others, right? And stepping into that role of the greatest version of ourselves is no easy task. And we're all susceptible to, being judged. We all fear that to some degree because our innate nature is to fit in, to get along with people, to not stick out. And there's something that you said that really resonated with me when I was listening to your podcast yesterday. And it was something along the lines of, if not you, then who? If we ask ourselves that in any given moment and say, if everyone's going to fit in, then we're not going to go anywhere. We're not going to create diversity. We're not going to have change to any significant degree. We're not going to be able to better our community, our society, the people that we experience, that we interact with on a daily basis. So what am I going to do to help be a part of that positive change, if that's what I want to do? And if not you, then who? Right? You got to stand up for what you believe in and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't be afraid because, and this was one I was personally challenged with. I had to ask myself and this was my experience with self-doubt was, who am I? Who am I to say this? Who am I to question other people? Who am I to be myself around other people? What if they betray me? What if they make fun of me? What if they laugh at me? What if they give me a hard time? What if they don't like me? Those were all thoughts that ran through my head on a constant basis. I even found myself while I was on a swim team, I was even the captain of the swim team, I would sometimes put on a face because I didn't entirely feel like I could be my full self. And that was a challenge. So one, and I can go off on that and give me a second before I do, because, who am I? I had to realize, especially very recently in the last 4 years, that who am I not to be that person? Who told me I couldn't be the best version of myself, and who's stopping me? I am responsible for my own happiness. Nobody else is going to look out for me more so than me. God's up there. God loves me. He's got all the love for me in the world. But I got to be real. God doesn't have a physical form. He's not standing right next to me. He's not giving me a hug right now. Emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, he is absolutely. But if I want to go out and celebrate my love for whatever it is I'm most passionate about with the people around me, I got to ask myself, who am I not to be that person? And then it's just a matter of finding the right group. Look, let's face it. If people can sell these random tchotchkes on Amazon, right? Those little, what they call little fidget spinners where they put them in their hand and the kids just play with them. Like, if people can sell that and find an audience for that, there are plenty of people that resonate with you, that are thinking the same thoughts as you. How often, I know this is true for guys, maybe this has happened to you or not. Maybe you saw your wife or your husband in the club or in a certain place before they were your wife or husband, and in a store or something, you're like, wow, I can't talk to them. Like, that person's beautiful. Like, they're way out of my league. Like, that's happened to me several times, right? Just like that person, like, even when it comes to like looking up to inspirational figures like coaches or other guys that were my similar age that were doing great things, I want to go talk to them because I'm going to figure out what's going on through their mind that makes them so great, makes them chase their passion, what makes them so talented. Again, diving into that narrative. And it's realizing, look, nobody's going to be responsible. Nobody's going to do it for me. I got to go out and find that audience, be a part of that community, and just ask that question. Be infinitely curious. How much power is that in just saying, I know nothing, so let's start asking questions and understanding what's going on. And nobody's going to turn you down well, I don't want to say nobody, but there's going to be a very small group of people that are going to turn you down for being genuinely curious and showing up with and asking questions. I always say this, and I'm sure you've heard it before, is, seek first to understand before being understood. How powerful is that?
Yeah.
Right? When it comes to an argument that we're having with another individual, well, maybe we just got to step back from whatever's going on and say, hey, maybe I'm just trying to force them to see my perspective. But what if I step into their shoes and try to understand, what if I just, instead of doing this, I do this a little bit more and just listen and be compassionate, understand what's going on in their world, and show up for that person. Now, that's a little bit of a
Let me
tangent.
stop you for a second
Yeah.
and touch on something that because you hit a couple of points. You talked about, having that inadequacy feeling against other people. You talked about us really just denying who we are by saying, well, who am I to do this? And so what you're saying is how we overcome that is actually saying, well, if not me, why not me? Why can't I do that?
Yes.
And so if I'm saying this correctly, how a person actually starts tapping into their full self is start really asking themselves, if not me, why not me?